Hey T-Heads, this is Don from Mei Leaf. Guess who's just sailed into stock? Jade Star 4 is here, the most hotly anticipated release of the year. Our aged white tea series continues with Jade Star 4. Are you ready, everybody? Here she is, Jade Star 4, 2010, so 9-year-olds, 2010 Baimudan and Shou mix. If you don't know about Jade Star, you can check out other videos. This by far is the most requested tea. Every week we receive an email saying, when is Jade Star going to drop? When is Jade Star going to drop? Well, the moment has arrived. Jade Star 4 is here. Check out the artwork by Celine. As always, the Jade Star ship sails in and sails away. Those who can grab it, grab it. And this is our 4th edition of our aged white tea. Always a mix of Baimudan and Shou because I love that mix. The Shou being those larger leaves and the Mudan being those top pickings, the bud and young leaves. I love it not just for the flavor but also for the effect. So what I'm going to be doing today is going through a tasting, but then I'm just going to roll through the infusions and let you know the psychoactive effects of this tea. I'm excited. Let's dive in. Ooh, very bud heavy. Look at that. So you can see we've gone for a very bud heavy mix on this one. Look at that, beautiful colors. So we're getting those light auburns, chestnut brown leaves, but then those antique silver, very, very furry buds here. Really, really loving the look of this cake. Very much different to the Sunfire Ripple, which is the aged white tea that we released a few months ago, which was Shou only with just a very few amount of these buds. This one is a lot more bud heavy. Okay, what I'm gonna do, first of all, I won't get too excited yet. I've got boiling hot water here. I'm just gonna pour it into this mini Gaiwan. So I'm going very, very simple here. Really, really simple. We just got a Gaiwan and a cup. It's just me drinking. Celine being heavily pregnant. Jade Star is definitely not the one for her at the moment. She kind of bowed out, but I think it was a good decision. 95-degree water here. Just checking my brew instructions. 4 grams per 100 ml. 10 seconds for the first infusion. 5 seconds for each subsequent infusion, and we reckon we can get about 15 infusions out of this. But as always, brew according to your taste. If you want to go a bit longer, then go for it. If you want to put a bit more leaf, then go for it. And as you white tea aficionados know, when you get to the end, when you've hit that sort of 12th, 13th infusion, then take those leaves, put them in a pan, boil those leaves up, simmer them for about 15 minutes, and you're going to get one powerhouse final shot of tea. Right, while this Gaiwan is heating up, I have the privilege of breaking into this cake. So, nice loose press here. Oh, look how bud heavy it is. So let's quickly scope this tea. Season is spring 2010. Cultivar is the Dabai cultivar. Origin is Fujian in China. Picking and processing is going to be a mix of bud, young leaves and larger leaves. It's going to be processed under the sun, withered under the sun, and then allowed to dry whilst oxidizing. It was then stored loose until 2019, and then it was pressed for us this year. Elevation on this is 800 to 1,000 meters. Okay, that should be enough for me. I'm not going to measure because I just want to load up this Gaiwan. I'm drinking outdoors, and one of the great things about drinking outdoors is you have a natural water bucket ready for you at any point. Okay, so let's load up this Gaiwan. Get a nice amount in here. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Put the lid back on, let that heat up so we can have a nice sniff of those dry leaves, and then we're going to wrap this baby up here. If you want to know how to wrap cakes, we've done a video about that. Take your time. You're going to rush this one a little bit, but there you go. Jade Star 4. Put that to a side. Now, let's have a snifter. Ooh, okay. Creamier than previous Jade Stars. I'm getting chocolate, milk chocolate, so light chocolate. There's a sourness there as well. Like sour underripe plums. There's some caramel in here. A nice mix. Chocolatey, creamy, caramelly, but then you've got sour plums and tomatoes as well. Really interesting. Let's give it a rinse. So I've eaten a little bit here just beforehand so that my stomach is lined. I know how potent these white teas can be, for me at least. So for me, the teas that get me the most tea high are aged whites like this and raw pu'ers. Raw pu'ers, young and old, slightly different effect. But so I'm sort of prepared myself, I've lined my stomach. Right, let's have a sniff. Ooh, that chocolate note continues. Creamy. It's like sniffing creamy hot chocolate. Oh, okay. Oh, there's some wood varnish. Raisins, but more like golden sultanas. There's a bit of hay in there. Very, very warm, hot, late summer smell. A little bit of a resinous note to it as well. Like pine resin or mastic. Yeah, mastic. So a little bit vanilla-y. Vanillas, resins, hot chocolates, the sour plums have gone and been replaced by those golden sultanas. Right, we're gonna ramp up this temperature to 95 degrees. I'm brewing straight from this tiny Gaiwan into a cup. One of the joys of drinking by yourself is you can just simplify everything. You don't need the Gongda Bei or Fairness cup to decant and then share out, so you can go straight from here to here. This cup, oof, it's just gonna be about the right size, I think. Maybe I'll just not fill directly to the top. So, are you excited, everybody? Jade Star 4, I can't tell you the amount of times we've been asked, when is Jade Star 4 coming? It is a continuous question we need to answer. I almost need to put it on auto response. Okay, 95 degrees. Here she goes. I always like to make sure my first infusion is a bit longer. Whenever I'm writing these tasting notes, I'm always sort of conscious of the fact that I'm trying to keep it simple. So, you know, I'm starting with a base of, say, 10 and then add 5s. But really, usually it's a bit more weighted in those first infusions. So sort of 15 seconds, 20 seconds, and then you can kind of keep it at about 15, 20 seconds. And then after about 3 infusions, you can start to add that time. That would be, I guess, a bit more of an accurate way of describing the way that I brew, but we've got to keep things relatively simple on the packaging. The color of the liquor is a nice orange caramel color. Cheers, everybody. Jade Star 4, JS4 as it's known. Texture, ooh, texture is thick, almost oily and thick. Yeah, it's got a very lubricating, slippery feel. Taste. Now, This is going to take time to unravel and for the flavors to start to emerge. The initial taste is creamy, a little bit of creaminess, a bit of toffee note happening. I'm getting dry woods. You can tell that this has got a lot more flavor to reveal, and the reason I say that is because the sensation in my mouth is immediately getting a tingle to the sides of my tongue. It's sort of mineral, dry, a little bit of juice, but in very particular pockets in my mouth. I'm getting some saliva release, and so I can note the physicality of it in the first infusion. Very, very physical, which means that there's probably a lot going on in here, and it is just starting to wake up from its 9 years of slumber. Okay, so I'm going to roll through these infusions, and I'm going to let you know when I start to feel something and what I feel. So you see, I wasn't on the clock, but you know, I'm sort of doing 15-20 seconds, I guess, maybe 25-second infusions for the first 2 or 3, and then I'll start upping it afterwards. Ooh, slightly overfilled. Cheers, everybody. Okay, yeah, definitely revealing, and I'm getting a little bit more of a burnt fudge note happening. Definitely creamy toffee fudge. The sultanas are there, but in the background, what's most present are those deeper flavors, the woods, the craft paper, the creams, the toffees, the burnt fudges. Those are front and center, but I can just about pick up some interesting sultana note coming through. Please don't rush through your experience. Take your time. But I know I'm going to get a lot of infusions out of this, so I figure we may as well run through them. That was a bit of a shorter infusion. Let's see how that affects taste. A bit brighter. Ooh, the wood varnish is coming through, so a little bit of that lacquer taste happening. Butterscotch. Yeah. I want to say banana, but very, very light, maybe cooked down bananas. So, but it's there with the butterscotch and dark caramelized bananas. But the cream is definitely very noticeable. You can count the infusions, I'm not. Starting to feel a little bit warmth rising up into sort of up through my collar, a little bit warmer. I feel like my body's heating up. I'm going to leave that a bit longer just to see the difference that the time takes. Ooh, the smell is much more fruity of the empty cup. Cranberries, red currants, very, very fruity, but cooked down again, like in a jam, like a red currant jelly. 5th infusion, 6th infusion, I'm not sure. This is just getting started. Yeah. I prefer these 3rd, 4th, 5th infusions onwards. I think that's when the balance starts to happen. I'm getting those golden sultanas now. Yeah. The imagery that I have is like a toffee cake sprinkled with golden, those yellow sultanas. But still mineral, rocky. Let's have a sniff of those wet leaves. Yeah, brighter. brighter and fruitier, maybe I want to say peaches, but I think it's more canned peaches, preserved, yeah, canned peaches. You know, it's a little bit more simple peach syrup note. Starting to feel it now. Getting heat, definitely. Warming, definitely. And it's rising from my body. It feels very deep. I feel it in my stomach. I feel a sense of yeah, and I can feel it in my head as well now. A sort of munchies sort of note. You know, you're starting to feel like your stomach is getting activated. I wouldn't mind nibbling on something right now. The color, as you can see, is just as dark, that beautiful orange caramel color. Peaches and cream, canned peaches, tinned peaches, and cream in this infusion. Mineral, I'm getting now more of the rockiness, so that woodiness is starting to dissipate, and I'm getting a slaty, quenching, slaty freshness happening. A little bit of honey popping in there. Developing really, really nicely. I told you I was going to roll through these infusions. Again, take your time. I quite enjoy doing these little speed drinking though. Not just, I know it's very sort of un-tea. You want to take your time, absorb the moment and stuff, but sometimes it's quite nice to just get a real hit of this tea, really feel it, and I'm starting to feel it now, right in my forehead. A little bit woozy, a little bit interesting, because it's not the sort of rushy high that you sometimes get with raw pu'ers and raw pu'ers and aged teas. I'm definitely feeling it now. Starting to make my head feel a little bit fuzzy, but in a nice way, in a sort of quite chilled way, in a calm way, in a settled way. It doesn't make me feel too sort of anxious and rushy like some aged whites do. Now, everybody's going to be different. Everyone's going to have a different reaction to these teas. Some people will probably feel sleepy. Some people will feel energized. Some people might not feel anything at all. But definitely for me, this tea has a character from this initial tasting. Sweeter, getting sweeter. From this initial tasting, warming and a little bit stoned, a little bit like I just want to, everything feels a little bit hazier, a little bit surreal, a little bit otherworldly, a little bit woozy. Definitely a strong effect on this tea. I'm very much enjoying it. It makes me feel not like head rushy, but just more in my body and a little bit stoned, a little bit woozy. Maybe like I've had like a couple of drams of whiskey or something, you know. Ooh, a little bit, you know, it's a nice feeling. Nothing too sort of cerebral. A lot of Jade Star 1 did this to me. Jade Star 1 was a tea which kind of sent me off a little bit and sent me into a bit of a tizzy, and I would sort of get very in my own head and sort of thought-provoking, and it led me down sort of paths where I felt like the tea was revealing things about me, sometimes uncomfortable, you know, but still a useful learning experience and something that I really treasured. It was a little bit, a bit introspective. This one feels more like I could sit back and chat to people. Maybe the subject of conversation would be a little bit left field, but we all love those conversations, don't we? So we're up to our 10th infusion, I guess, something like that. 8th, 9th, 10th infusion. Definite feeling. Wow, nice. I just want to sort of sit back and chillax. Right, 10th infusion. taste has now really developed that sweetness. I'm getting this sort of resinous sweetness. I want to say mulberry fruit. You know how mulberry fruit has a very nice, slightly woody sweetness to it. Mulberry fruit, amber. These are the images that I'm having. The finish in my mouth is dry, tingly, mineral, very tingly, active, especially on the sides, no, even on the top of my tongue. Juicy on the sides, sweet juiciness. Let's have a sniff of this empty cup. Yeah. Still got that red currant jelly, cranberries, cherries, all stewed down, all cooked down, all jammy. Feeling it for sure. Feeling it for sure. Definitely a potent tea for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll through a few more infusions. Then I'll boil up the tea, and I will, finding it difficult to speak, I will be back with you in a little bit. Okay, we've done about, I think about 14 infusions. Then I stopped and I put the leaves into some water, brought it to the boil, simmered for about 15 minutes on low heat. Look at that powerhouse infusion. I've changed my glass because, as you probably saw, I was throwing out any of the sort of sediment at the bottom of the glass, and it slipped. And my lovely little glass is unfortunately no more. The casualties of getting tea drunk, unfortunately. So that's a bit sad, but hey, it's all right. Look at the color of that. It's always going to look a bit cloudier when it's been boiled up. Cheers, everybody. The final shots of Jade Star 4. So you pick up more of the sort of herbal note of the tea when you boil it and simmer it. Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of, what herb is that? It reminds me of Chinese herbs. I'm getting some jujube, some red date. I'm getting a little bit of some Chinese herbal roots. I'm getting a little bit of maybe dandelion in there. So it's a altogether more herbal note coming through. Nice and strong, but still smooth, no bitterness. The astringency is again a tingly, light, mineral dryness, moving to juiciness, flooding my mouth with sweet juiciness. Now, the body sensation on this is definitely pretty strong for me. The feeling is, it is that stone feeling, a little bit like sort of vibrating feeling. I feel like everything is just tingling in my body, just vibrating. Really, really nice. I feel this sort of tingling going on in my hands, like the circulation is moving. It's definitely feels sort of active in my body, but it doesn't feel too rushy. Now, it does give me energy. I do feel like I want to go out and chat to people and sort of, I don't feel like I want to go to sleep. It's not a couch lock feeling. It's definitely a woozy, slightly high, little bit dizzy feeling, but nothing unpleasant, and definitely that body sensation. And I definitely feel hungry. I feel like I've got the munchies. So I would definitely have some food nearby if I was drinking this. So yeah, just have some nuts, have something that's not going to detract too much from the taste of the tea, just to make sure that this munchy feeling is satisfied. Very, ooh, yeah, that jammy note, some jammy sweetness going on. I'm gonna try to regroup and write some more full tasting notes. They'll be on the website. If you wanna check out Jade Star 4, if you wanna grab our latest installment in the Aged White series, then make sure you hit the website. It'll be there for you waiting. So that's it, tea heads. Check out our other videos, taste our teas wherever you are in the world by visiting meileaf.com, and come and visit our tea house if you're ever in London. Other than that, I'm a slightly tea drunk Don from Mei Leaf. Thank you for being a part of the revelation of true tea. Stay away from those tea bags. Keep drinking the supreme stuff and spread the word, because nobody deserves bad tea. See ya.